Hi, this is Eric from Longbox Review at longboxreview.wordpress.com.
And this is Travis from Oddfellow's Thoughts on YouTube at Oddfellow's Thoughts.
Well, welcome back, Travis. It's great to hear your voice again and to be back on the show. It's been a little while
It has.
since, I believe, episode 30 when we got together to talk about San Diego Comic-Con news. And guess what? This episode, we're going to talk about news coming out of New York Comic-Con.
There you go.
So there's lots of news coming out since Thursday, right?
Yes.
But the bulk of it's been coming out Friday and Saturday. It's a little bit trickling in today as we record. This is Sunday of the New York Comic-Con, and I'm checking the news feeds as we go along here in case we get some late breaking stuff that we want to talk about. And I see there's something here about DC Comics bringing Death to Gotham, so I'll have to click that at some point as we're talking and find out what the heck that's about. But mostly what we're going to talk about are the things that, between Travis and myself, that caught our eye, got our attention, things that we want to discuss. So we won't be discussing everything coming out of New York Comic Con because that would be ridiculous.
Yes.
And, I don't have a lot to say about a lot of these things. So anyway. And then, of course, as Travis pointed out while we were talking off mic, so to speak, there are some things that we'll probably talk about that we feel are, worthy to talk about in terms of the comic fandom. So, and there's one big one that I want to talk about that I'm really excited about. So we'll get to that. But what we're going to do first is get started by talking about the independent publishers, the other publishers. Besides DC and Marvel, we'll talk about those first. Put the spotlight on them. Let's see, Travis, do you have any news from any independent publisher you want to throw out there?
The only thing that caught my eye, like I said, I have missed out on most of the information that's come out in late Friday or Saturday, but I was pretty excited to hear that Oni Press is going to put out a Six Gun miniseries.
Yep.
That will tell the story of four of the guys who owned the guns before Drake Sinclair got a hold of them. So,
right. So these are General Hume's henchmen,
right?
That we saw in the first arc of that series. Yeah.
Right. So I'm excited to see that just because they seemed like interesting characters, and I'd be curious to see what their story is and how the guns affected somebody else. So it's written by the two guys that are the creators of the series, and Brian Chirilla, I hope I'm not killing his name, is doing the artwork for it. He's not normally the artist for the book, but he's done some other stuff that I really enjoyed. He did the Secret History of D.B. Cooper. So
that's right. Mm-hmm.
So I think he's got kind of a cartoony, and I don't say cartoony in a bad way, kind of a style also, kind of like Brian Hurt does, who does the art on the book now. So I think it'll still keep the same flavor. It'll probably be a little bit darker because Brian is a little bit of a darker artist, but I'm excited for that. Also, other Six Gun news, they announced that Six Gun is actually going to be picked up by NBC.
Yes.
as a TV series. I knew that they were talking originally, like last year, about it having been picked up as being like a 6-episode miniseries from the Sci-Fi Channel, but obviously it must have developed into something more than that if some of the guys from Lost are taking it on and taking it to the mainstream channel.
Yeah, that was pretty cool news. I'm glad you mentioned that. I actually, I didn't have that in my notes, but as you were talking about the Sons of a Gun miniseries, I'm like, wait a minute, I thought I read something about this being on NBC, so I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
That's you know what? Yeah, you were on board with Six Gun, I believe, from the get-go, and yep. I was I knew of it, mostly because of you, but I didn't pick it up until months into the first arc, and then I was able to go and find because I was thinking, oh, I'll wait for the trade. But you kept talking it up and up and up, and I'm like, well, I'm missing out on something good here, I think. So I finally went and got all of the, I got second and third printings of some of the issues, but I did get all of the first arc and breezed through that, and I'm like, holy crap, this is good. So so I'm glad to see that Six Gun is expanding, and obviously, going to NBC, that's a huge thing. I assume what they're really talking about is that they got a pilot greenlit at NBC, and then we'll see if it actually develops into a full series.
Right.
But just that possibility is phenomenal, and that's really good news.
Oh, definitely. I'm excited about it. I mean, it's those kind of things. I'm excited and apprehensive at the same time. I really love the book, and I hope that they don't screw it up,
Mm-hmm.
make a big mess out of it. But that's always my worry when they take any comic book that I enjoy and try to interpret it for either the small screen or the large screen. That you hope that there's some. I'll be curious as it goes forward to see how much, if any, input that the creators of the book have on the show, because I haven't heard that they have any. They listed some people from Lost as being the producers and the writers for it, so I have no idea what, if they'll have any input going forward or whatnot.
Yeah, and speaking of the people involved that are from Lost, and I didn't know about that, but I guess it depends on, did you like Lost? If you think that those folks involved will handle the property well enough, and I would say probably, but I love Lost, so
yeah, but Lost wasn't anybody's property.
No.
In the same sense.
So, yeah,
it's a different kind of thing, but
yeah, definitely. Anything else from Oni? I got a couple other things here.
Oni. I didn't. No, I guess I haven't caught anything else.
Okay, so speaking of Six Gun, so Cullen Bunn, he has a new mini-series coming out through Oni called Helheim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so 5 issues, and it's going to be about Vikings and witches.
Cool.
Basically, these two witches are at war with each other, and they use, whomever is around to do battle. So you get Vikings, and it's supposed to be, other monsters, and just that whole Viking element, and just the magic part of it. Which in a sense is kind of like the same with Six Gun, only it's set in the the American West. But there's magic and whatnot involved in that. So it's to me it's kind of like the same sort of idea, only in a different setting and different characters. But you know what? I'm all on board. I think that's a good idea. I want to read that. So that's supposedly coming out in March next year, and the artist is Joelle Jones. Who I am not familiar with her work. So, but she seemed pretty excited to be involved with the project.
Cool.
Based on the interview that I saw. And then finally from Oni news that I have here, in January, Oni is going to be publishing webcomics on their site.
Oh.
So every week, or was it every week or every day? I can't remember. I think it's every week. They're going to be doing webcomics from various creators. So I think that's kind of neat that they're doing that. Get some new people some exposure, and you get to read new comics for free if you like to do that.
Oh, for free?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure that it was. Now they may transition that. Now watch, I totally misread that, and whoever is listening to this is going, you idiot. But I think that's the case. They're gonna showcase these things once a week, and it could be that they collect these strips into a print form that you can buy later. I don't know. But I saw the news that they were going to do that, and now I'm thinking I should get on the web here while we're talking and check that out. Make sure I got that news right. But I'm not going to do that. It is what it is. All right, let's go on. Another independent publisher. Do you have anything regarding Valiant?
No.
Okay. I just got a couple things here, and they're small in comparison to some of these others, but still interesting because I've talked about this on Twitter, and I think maybe I've mentioned on some previous episodes, but because of our buddy Lee, who challenged me to read some Valiant comics. I think he challenged both of us to do that too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I went ahead and I met his challenge, and I am now getting all Valiant titles. And I've read pretty much all of them that are out now. I think the only one I haven't read that's come out. Oh no, I have 3 issues of Bloodshot here waiting on my desk to read since I finally got number 1. And I'm waiting to read Archer and Armstrong, which I hear is pretty good. But so, okay, so I guess I've read X-O Man of War and Harbinger, and both of those are awesome. And I'm surprised at how much I liked X-O Man of War. And that's the first bit of news I have here is that title. They're going to do what they're calling a mini event, which is the first since they've relaunched Valiant, and it's called Planet Death. And it's basically, I don't know how much you know about that title, Travis, but the main character gets alien armor. He's from the 5th or 6th century, I think. And he's kidnapped by these aliens and becomes their slave for a while, and he ends up getting the alien armor from these folks and escapes, but then finds himself in the modern day. But the aliens are still around, and of course he wants revenge for what they've done to him and the fact that they've totally destroyed his life.
Sure.
By the virtue of he's no longer in his own century. Anyway, so apparently he takes the fight to them, and that's the whole Planet Death thing. So that starts up in issue 11 with a prelude that starts a 2-issue prelude that starts at number 9. So they mentioned that. I don't know why they would talk about the Planet Death mini event starting in 1 issue, but this prelude starting another. Why not just say, okay, it starts here? Anyway,
right.
But I'm looking forward to that. I can't believe I'm looking forward to a Valiant comic pretty much through a year's worth of the title. But there you go. Considering, and I say that only because I never read any of the Valiant titles from the 90s.
Yeah, me neither.
I totally skipped them for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it was because our comic shop owner at that time wasn't promoting it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it was. It was getting pretty shaky then. That comic store was.
Yeah. But things were a lot different back then with us, Travis, right? Because there wasn't, we obviously didn't have the internet as we do now, and the instantaneous, information, the constant news releases and all that stuff. Basically, we got comics monthly, and if you happen to read something in like the letters page or their own in-house press release page they have, you pretty much, unless you were somehow got the news elsewhere, which we didn't. I didn't anyway.
No, not at all.
It was by happenstance or in the comic itself, or by word of mouth by people who read other things and somehow they knew it and you didn't. Anyway, so it was different. Yeah. I never got into I knew of them, but I never got into it. I heard over the years that some of this stuff was really good, and I'm like, well, I missed out. But now the relaunch is here, and I'm loving it so far. So. The other bit is happens to be about Harbinger. They're going to do a number 0 issue. There's those 0 issues again, which Travis and I talked about at length about the DC 0 issues off mic. Maybe we'll talk about that some other point. But but this is very similar in that they're doing the origin story of one of the characters in that title, the Toyo Harada. So I'm like, okay, I'm liking Harbinger. That was the first one I picked up and enjoyed, so I'll be getting that. I'm sorry. There's a third item here for Valiant. J. Michael Straczynski is apparently writing a Shadow Man movie script, which Shadow Man is one of the titles that'll be. I'm not sure if
I've ordered that. I'm going to pick that one up. That'll be the first Valiant book that I pick up.
So that's not out yet, right?
No, it's out.
It comes out. I think it comes out
next month.
Is it next month? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. Anyway, if it's not, oh well. So there you go. They're moving on, much like Oni is to TV. Maybe we'll see a Valiant Shadow Man movie in the future.
I guess. Not too excited by that writer, so.
I know. But you know what? It's so weird because he did. Did you ever watch Babylon 5?
Off and on.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the best sci-fi shows. For the first 4 seasons, it was really, really good. And then he moves into comics. I'm like, really? That's what you do? You have this great run on this great sci-fi series, and these are the comics you do. Anyway,
Yeah.
So I hear you. Next up, I have on my list is Dynamite.
What's going on with Dynamite?
Okay, so you know how that Dynamite has the Shadow comic right now?
Yeah, I'm collecting it.
Yeah, I got it through the first story arc, so that'll be ending for me soon. But I'll be picking this up. They're going to do a Shadow Year One miniseries, done by Matt Wagner.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
Matt Wagner. I'm picking that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
And that reminds me too. Speaking of Matt Wagner, different publisher, but he's coming back to do Hellboy, doing the writing and the art.
Really?
Yeah. So I'll be. I think you can. I think that's to be ordered this month in previews. So.
Okay.
Yeah, you should check that out when you go.
I will be.
So I'll be getting that. So there's that, and then I saw this. I thought this was interesting. So Dynamite's doing a lot of like the Shadow. They did the Spider. Alex Ross is doing that Masks series.
Yeah. Crossover too.
Yeah, bringing the Green Hornet and the other 2 characters I mentioned, and I'm sure there are other characters who I am forgetting at the moment.
Zorro and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of these old pulp hero. They're publishing a lot of these pulp hero relaunches, I guess is a good word to use. Anyway, so Brian Buccellato, who's the current co-writer of The Flash, I believe, he's going to write the Black Bat series or miniseries. I don't have that in my notes, but anyway, there's the Black Bat title coming out, so I thought that was interesting. That's all I have for Dynamite. How about IDW, Travis?
Don't know anything that's going on with them either.
All right, so IDW, much like Dynamite's doing the old pulp hero stuff, the oh gosh, what do they call that when a character is no longer copyright by a particular entity? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but now that you ask, I'm drawing a complete blank on it.
It's this. Anyway, so IDW does a lot of media tie-in stuff, right? So I'm getting the current Star Trek: The Next Generation Doctor Who crossover, and they did earlier this year. They did a Star Trek: The Original Series and Legion of Superheroes crossover. And so and I believe it's IDW. They do the Doctor Who stuff. Anyway, they're doing they're marking the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who with a 12-issue maxi series that reportedly will involve perhaps all of the Doctors in some way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that'll be. I'll probably be picking that up. Depending on what I did not see is who is involved in terms of the creative team.
Right.
But I thought that was interesting.
That could be.
What's that?
I said that could be.
Yeah.
But I want to know who's doing it.
Well, I'll tell you what. The guy who is currently doing that Star Trek: The Next Generation Doctor Who crossover, and bad for me that I don't have this handy, but the writer of that is capturing the voice of Doctor Who, the characters of Doctor Who, very well. And so I was pretty impressed with that. So if that person is involved in this, that would be a plus on my side. And then finally, I just saw this morning. They're doing a Star Trek Countdown to Darkness. So that's a prequel to the upcoming movie, the next Star Trek movie. So I'll probably be getting that too. And because, again, kind of like the guy who does the Doctor Who thing, I just talked about Star Trek, the ongoing series in the last episode.
Uh-huh.
Mike Johnson is the writer, and oh my God, this guy is doing a phenomenal job at continuing these stories, these characters that were set up from that last film. And I mean, they're not only just good Star Trek stories, they're just good stories. The latest issue, number 13, was just phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to that. If especially if he's doing it, I mean. So there you go. Finally, in the independent category, I have one bit of news from Image, which I kind of expected more news from them. And I don't know if you have anything for them, Travis, but they just not a whole lot that caught my eye anyway. I'm sure there was a bunch of news but it just, I only have one thing. How about you?
I'm not remember. I thought there was, but I'm not remembering it now, and I didn't write it down. So
Okay, so
it must not have been too important.
well, what I have here is this is a new Western comic written by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Emma Rios on the art, and it's
see,
Pretty Deadly.
Right, they were talking about that back at San Diego.
Oh, they were. Okay.
Yeah. So are they actually like as dates when things gonna come out?
I did not see that. No.
Apparently
they were just still promoting that as coming. So
yeah, I'll be getting that.
Yeah. Are you liking Kelly Sue DeConnick on Captain Marvel?
Yes, and I say that apprehensively. I like the writing fine. I'm not really excited by this current story arc, but it's not poorly written. It's just it's not that interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to the character. I'm looking forward to getting beyond this and moving on to whatever's going to be next. I like the characterization of the character just fine, and I like some interaction with some of the secondary characters that are in the book. I think that's all interesting and stuff. It's just her current predicament of kind of being time traveled and whatnot seemed to me to be kind of an odd first story. Other than it gives an opportunity for them to write more about women who were around during World War II who actually did fight and were important people, and and championing the fact that women have played a more significant role in those types of things that have happened throughout our history. So we're kind of doing a quality history lesson through the comic book, which I mean isn't bad. I mean, I'm fine with that. Whatnot. The parts of the story that have to do with the Mercury project and the women who tried out for that first space program and were turned down. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a fun story. I like that part of it. It's just the predicament that the actual character's in right now. I'm not really that interested in.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep going with the book on what this issue with around 4 or 5, and I have no intentions of dropping the book and whatnot. I think I like her writing, so.
Okay.
But yeah. I don't intend on getting Marvel. What is it? Avengers Assemble. She's writing that too.
Yes.
It's going to be coming out. No intentions of getting that.
Yeah, me either. But yeah, I've like you. I've been enjoying the comic in general, and I think she's doing a good job with the character. But I actually kind of like the story that we're getting right now, the back in time story. But what's the point of it other than the history lesson?
Right.
What's going to be the impact of this? So I get a sense that something's being set up here, but I want to see the payoff.
Right.
And maybe we'll get it soon. Maybe we won't. So.
Yeah. I've liked some of the stuff. The reason I jumped on the book is because I'm starting out new, and I've been waiting to explore more Marvel books. But I mean, she's written other stuff that I enjoy. She wrote a small arc, 2 or 3 issues of Supergirl before the New 52, and I really got a kick out of that. I like how she portrayed the people that were in that. So I knew I was gonna. The next new thing she came onto, I knew I was at least gonna give it a shot just to see what it's like. So.
All right. So we'll, Pretty Deadly will be out. I'm guessing sometime next year.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I had for the independent publishers.
One thing I think is an Image that I'm curious about. I'm pretty sure it's Image. I could be wrong about the company because I didn't get time to really look at it closely. But Kieran Gillian, who writes quite a bit of Marvel stuff, I think he's writing what Mystery to Journey to what's that title called? Journey to Mystery? Mystery to
Yeah. Journey to Mystery.
and
Which I hear is excellent. I don't read it, but I hear it's really good.
I don't read it either. I really liked his phonogram stuff that he did do with Image, and I'm looking forward to when number 3 comes out, which they've pushed back. But he is doing a book, and I think it's entitled 3, and the artist on it is Ryan Kelly, who I love. Ryan Kelly. Pretty much anything he's doing, I'm at least going to pick up initially just to see what it is. The announcement I saw for it didn't really give any information on it other than it showed like it looked like a Greek warrior. It has the traditional bronze Greek mask with a kind of horse-haired mohawk thing, laying there with three swords stabbed in his back. So I'm pretty sure that's an Image comic.
Yeah, you're right. The 3, yeah, I did note that, but for some reason I didn't write that down. So it's kind of like it's like the taking the whole 300, Frank Miller's 300, and kind of turning it on its ear.
Yeah.
Because the focus will be the slaves of the Spartans.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm all over that. That sounds cool. That well, for me, like I said, because Ryan Kelly on artwork and I haven't been disappointed with Kieran's work, so yeah, I'll give that a shot.
Okay. And Travis, I have late breaking news out of New York Comic Con from Aspen. Since we haven't moved on to the 2 major publishers. So recall that out of San Diego, Aspen was doing their 10 for 10. So 10 new titles in honor of their 10th year in the industry. Mm-hmm. And so what I have here, they did talk about a couple. They announced a few of the titles of the upcoming books. The first book will be called Legend of the Shadow Clan. That comes out in March. And then the second volume of Shrugged. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. The Legend of Shadow Clan. And then the March comic will be the second volume of Shrugged, written by Aspen's president, Frank Mastromaro. And then I just scrolled down real quick here. There's some Lady Mechanica news for those of us who are fans of that series. Did you? I forget, Travis. Did you read that? Have you?
No, I don't. Is it still around?
That is the eternal question related to that title. Yes. So this is cool. Apparently, Lady Mechanica won't be solicited until the entire volume is finished, whatever that means. So fans would not have to wait so long in between the issues. So 3 are currently out, with the 4th being completed. Okay, so apparently there are 6 issues intended for this story, which I wish they would have just told us before this, because I've always thought it was an ongoing, but apparently not. So that's good. So they'll, hopefully they'll get it all done and then, get them out, because I've been waiting. This has been very weird for me, because usually, we've encountered this a little bit with Bendis's. Oh gosh, Travis, what's that one? Scarlet. Yeah. Yeah. Because we both liked that title when it first came out, right? But it's been so long since the last issue. I don't even know how long. Has it been? It's been over a year, maybe, right?
We're coming up on it. Yeah, I think November.
Or something. It's been a very long time, right? November, so Lady Mechanica is in that same boat where, that first issue came out. I don't know how long ago. I grabbed it when because I heard some buzz about it. And it's usually not something that I would pick up. The artist or the creator behind it, God, and now I've forgotten who that is. Hold on, I'm gonna check that real quick. So the artist or the creator of the whole thing, Joe Benitez,
Mhm.
right? He just he has other jobs, and then this is his creator-owned work, so that
Sure.
takes the back seat, right? Because he's got to pay the bills.
Yeah, because it does.
One
Right.
presumes, right?
Mhm.
But I heard some buzz about it, and but I didn't particularly care for his art, but it was enough of a draw. The whole steampunk type stuff
Right.
that I wanted to take a chance on it, and I believe DCB Service had like like 99 cents on the 01 issue. And so I grabbed that. I'm like, oh wow, this is actually pretty good.
Mhm.
So then I've gotten the rest of it. So that's good news, for those of us who like Lady Mechanica, even though it's been forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I have I believe for Independence now. Let's move on to Marvel. How about that?
Okay.
How much news do you have out of Marvel, Travis?
There's a lot of stuff coming out of Marvel.
Right. Okay. So why don't you start off with what you have, and then I'll jump in.
Well, let's see. I'll find my had it all tabbed out so I could just read over it, and now I've lost most of that. Close the windows. How it works, right? Well, the first thing that I guess that caught my eye was and I'm not sure if this came out right before the whole New York or during it. The new Young Avengers book that the two creators that did Phonograph are doing together. It's the first time basically on a Marvel book that the two of them are teamed up. Kieran Gillen and oh crap, I can't remember his name. I'm trying to remember the artist's name.
Is this the Avengers
McKevy?
Arena book?
No, this
about?
isn't Avengers Arena. No, there's a Young Avengers book that's basically, to me, sounds kind of like a Teen Titans book, for Marvel. It's got Jamie McKeevy is doing the artwork for it, and it's got like Miss America on it, and I can't remember who else on the team. I just saw a cover. They just released a cover that was done by the guy who does Scott Pilgrim. Did a cover for it.
Oh, okay.
But you hadn't heard about that, huh?
No.
But yeah, it's God, now I wish I would have.
Yeah, here it is.
Actually wrote that down.
Brian Lee O'Malley covers.
Yeah.
To Young Avengers #1. Yeah, and yeah, Kieran Gillen, Jamie McKelvey.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
That sounded like that might be fun. I'm kind of looking. I guess for me, the reason I think it might be fun is I'm kind of shopping around for a teen type group book, and I can't read Teen Titans because I just do not like it. And so I may check that out. I like those two creators. So yeah, I'm kind of interested in that. That's the biggest thing as far as books go that really struck me as interesting. Of course, there's the change to Spider-Man, where he's going to be the superior Spider-Man.
Superior Spider-Man, and I read this morning, Travis. That Spider-Man is not Peter Parker.
What?
Yeah, that's what Dan Slott said today.
Well, they've had to kind of since they announced that, and the way they announced it, where it's going to be this darker, blah 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 blah, everything that Spider-Man isn't.
Right.
They've had to talk a lot more about that than what I think they originally planned on.
Uh-huh.
Because the original thing that came out on that, he was, changing his costume, changing his powers, it was going to be, more dark and brooding and all this stuff. And it was like, holy crap, this isn't, I mean, for me, I don't collect Spider-Man now. I used to collect Spider-Man a lot, back in the 80s. I collected just about every Spider-Man book there was. Spider-Man, despite how bad everything is, was always kind of this person of hope, was always the good guy even when things were going bad.
Mm-hmm.
And every description about this Superior Spider-Man was like, man, they are just screwing this character up. I mean, you can have bad things happen to the guy, but in my opinion, you still can't change the core of what he is. And it really sounded like they were going to. So I guess in a way that's a relief that this isn't Parker. But what the hell does that mean for Parker?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting, because I was kind of confused by that anyway, because they keep talking about how the fact that there's still going to be an Avenging Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
book, and how can, because that book's kind of generally is kind of light, fluffy, and silly. How can he still be in that book if he is
the Dark Spider-Man and Superior?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Be
Mm-hmm.
like, wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, you know what? It's funny that bit about the Superior Spider-Man news not being Peter. So I read that. I wrote it down here, and then I have it as a parenthetical note. I said, and one of the things they also said was that apparently this Spider-Man has retractable claws. And so what I wrote here was, but the retractable claws comment makes me wonder about the, if Dan Slott isn't just joking with us. But then I read a different article, and where someone was actually covering that panel, and granted we're not there, so you can't
Right.
You can't get the intonation, you can't get the the body language from Dan Slott, but apparently that's what they're doing. So it's not Peter, and it's this other thing. And
now you don't read Spider-Man, right?
You know what? Actually, I have been getting some Spider-Man issues recently.
Oh.
I don't get it monthly, but like the whole Alpha thing.
Uh-huh.
That 3-issue run, I got those.
So is this Superior Spider-Man going to be Alpha with wearing Doc Ock's some of his clawed arms?
I have no idea. That's interesting. That'd be a good thing. I doubt they're going to bring Alpha back in that way. It's probably some other character, but who knows?
Huh.
But I will be getting Spider-Man 700 just because it's I'm a sucker for like anniversary type issues.
Uh-huh.
So I'll be getting that.
But I won't be wasting my money on it.
But this Superior Spider-Man, if it's not Peter, I don't care.
You don't like Miles from the Ultimate Spider-Man?
Well, I got the first issue of that, and I didn't get anything else. So and it's not the character. It's just that whole Ultimate line. I just kind of ignore it.
Yeah, same here.
So, although I have to admit, some of the movies that they came out with a few years back, the Ultimate Avengers titles, or not titles, the movies they did, those are pretty good. I enjoyed those. But as for the comics, no, I just kind of like I said, I ignore them. I don't bother with those. All right. Anything else, Travis?
Nope.
Marvel wise.
Nope.
Okay, I got a few things here. Let's see. This was also this morning. Daredevil is to join the Marvel Now initiative with issue number 23. They're not restarting the comics since they just did that, just under 2 years ago. But it's to be they're intending that number 23 will be, a jumping on point for new readers, which, they did that already with Daredevil number 1 almost 2 years ago, but whatever.
Right.
Join the banner. That's fine. Whatever. It's still a great comic. I know you're not reading that, but I love it. I love it to death. Mark Waid can write everything as far as I'm concerned right now, and I'd be happy.
Yeah. So you're getting his indestructible Hulk?
Oh, hell yeah, because he's writing it. That's the only reason I'd get that comic.
God. Okay.
And Laniel Yu, I believe, is no, it's not him. God, who's the artist on that? I don't know why I thought it was here. Hold on.
No idea. All I know is they put the Incredible Hulk in armor, which to me is just stupid.
It's
whatever.
Indestructible Hulk, right?
Yes, Indestructible Hulk.
Indestructible Hulk.
Until they go back to calling him the Incredible Hulk, anyway.
Oh, it is. So yeah, Laniel Yu is doing the art on that. And I like his work well enough. Yeah. because of Wade and Yu's involvement on that, yeah, I'll get that. Even though I don't really care about Hulk. Hulk is one of those. To me, he's a great supporting character,
Yep.
but I've never been interested in him as a main character, as a headliner. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm already irritated with the Marvel now, so.
You're predisposed.
No. I decided I was gonna start jumping on some of this stuff, and because I'm obviously missing out on a large portion of the superhero comics by not picking up more Marvel stuff. So I figured, well, Marvel Now is a great time to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I picked up the first Marvel Now book. Basically, I picked up Uncanny Avengers, and
that's the one you sent the disembodied voice to get for you. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I paid full price for that damn thing. Yes.
$3.99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. If it's supposed to be a place for a new reader, if it's supposed to be the same idea that the whole DC 52, New 52 was, that new readers could jump on board and not be confused and whatnot.
I'm guessing they failed.
It horrifically. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't a good comic. But you had to have a lot of prior knowledge for a lot of this stuff to even make any kind of sense. Where you wouldn't. I mean, I'm my rest of my family who reads comics have not read it yet, and I can guarantee you when they read it, I will spend 20 minutes to a half an hour answering questions about that book.
Well, but Travis, it's a number one. Of course, it's an easy jump on point.
Mm-hmm. Liars.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm still looking forward to reading it because
it's a good thing that I'm not at. It's a good thing that I'm not at that con because I'd be at those Marvel panels giving them hell for that book.
All right. And I just want to mention, so anybody who wants to know what this whole disembodied voice bit is about, you need to go check out Travis's YouTube comic reviews and stuff. So go check that out. Okay, a few more things from Marvel that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought this was interesting. Guardians of the Galaxy, the new series. So we found out it was in San Diego, right, where we found out they're going to do a movie,
right?
Called Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, they're going to, of course, do a comic that starts up in February. This is by Brian Michael Bendis and Steve McNiven.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, I believe we talked about this before, Travis, but I'm a huge fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy, what they were back in the late 70s and 80s.
Uh-huh.
This new Guardians of the Galaxy group, I really don't know that much about them. I read a little bit of them I can't remember if it was Annihilation in that series of comics or Nova, or I can't remember now where I encountered them, and they're okay. And we talked about your love for the raccoon.
Oh yeah, Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah. But what's really interesting to me is Bendis on this. Now, you know me, I'm a huge Bendis fan. I love his work in general.
Uh-huh.
But I can't see him doing like a big cosmic book. That's a weird combination to me.
But he's writing like the Avengers and stuff like that now, right? So this is just another team book, isn't it?
Well, yes, and and I'm sure that's, knowing Bendis, that'll be his approach, but really it should be bigger than that. And I'm prejudging here, but it seems like an odd fit to have him do this kind of a book. But who knows?
I think he's an odd fit to put on a team book too, but that's just my opinion. I think he does much better when his cast is very small.
Small, I agree. I would agree with that. That's very true. Exactly. So that's, again, I come back to that. But you know what? He surprises the hell out of me all the time. So, and like I said, I like his work in general. I'll probably pick up that title just because, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, and I like to see where this is going. And then related to that, they announced both of these at the same time. There's going to be a new Nova comic.
Yeah, whatever.
But, and this is by Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness, so I'm not too keen on McGuinness's work. But this is going to be a new character that takes on the Nova banner.
Mm.
So instead of the old Nova character, and I don't know what they've done with that character, because he showed up at the very beginning of Avengers versus X-Men.
Yeah.
And then
Splat, right?
Yeah, basically, and then nothing. And I have not read the final issue of that series, so I don't know if he comes back into it or what. But as of right now, he showed up for a minute and then he was gone the rest of the series, and I don't know, maybe he died or maybe he quit. I don't know. I'm really curious as to why they're bringing in a new character to fill those shoes. And I know some people aren't big fans of Jeff Loeb's work. I don't know about you, Travis.
Take him or leave him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but there's some things that Jeff Loeb has written that I think are just fantastic. But yeah, other things,
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's see. Okay, so something else. So it'd be too late by the time people hear this episode, but at the time we're recording it, Travis, you could get a free digital comic of Ultimate Spider-Man all this weekend for the New York Comic Con.
Mm.
And they're doing that to kind of showcase their infinite. Let me try that again. Marvel's Infinite Comics line, and so this is the first. I guess the first, because I don't read a lot of digital comics, I don't know. So if I'm wrong about that, listeners, please let me know. But I kind of got the sense that this Ultimate Spider-Man issue was kind of a showcase for what they are, or the direction they're going forward with on their digital comics line.
Mm.
And Mark Waid is involved with this, the Infinite Comics stuff in general. But Matt Kint, who does Mind Management right now, which I hear is just phenomenal, and I really wish I had picked up issue 1 on, but I missed out on that. I'm having trouble finding those issues, so I may have to. Hopefully, it'll be out on trade. But anyway, so he wrote that issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, and of course, it's based on the cartoon that's currently on right now on Disney XD. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that cartoon, but
Yeah, it's okay.
Anyway, so what it really reminded me of, and the reason I mentioned Waid is because it really reminded me of Waid's stuff on his Thrillbent site, Luther and Insufferable, and the way that, and I read the comic, the digital comic this morning, and and it's a lot of transitional panel type stuff, where they, like, for example, they show a digital clock next to a sleeping Peter Parker, and you hit the next button basically, and the time changes every time you click it. And then there's other transitional type stuff like that, which I like in general in terms of a digital comic, but it's not like a big thing. Some of the stuff works better than others, I thought, but what they talked about in regards to this God, why do I have trouble saying Infinite Comics for some reason today? But they're really trying to, I don't know. I like what they're doing with it in terms of telling the story in a visual way that's different from what we see in print comics, of course, but also different from digital comics that are basically taking basically you hit the next button and you just see the next panel or the next page. It's doing more than just flipping the virtual page on screen. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I don't care for it. It's no longer sequential art when you start doing that. So
but it is sequential art.
No, it's not.
It is.
Yeah. That's a whole other show.
Okay, you need to go download that comic, Travis, and then take a look at it, and then we can talk about it.
Okay.
Or and that is actually something that I've been meaning to do on the show here is we bring back the digital comics discussion. That's it comes up every once in a while, but I think that there's a lot of stuff out there that we should be checking out and commenting on. So
sure.
But that's another show entirely, as you said.
Yeah.
All right, and then my final bit of Marvel news. As I turn my head to look at my monitor to see if there's anything else from Marvel, I don't see anything that's important. So I don't. When was this announced? So Joss Whedon was basically put in charge of Marvel's TV properties.
Yeah.
You heard about that, right?
Oh yeah. Didn't they start talking about that at at San Diego.
I can't remember if it was San Diego or maybe Fan Expo.
It was something. It was not long after the Avengers movie
Yeah.
exploded.
So the first of those properties that's being developed right now is the Shield TV series, right?
Yep.
So here's the big news from that. And I apologize if this is spoilers for anyone who has not seen the Avengers movie.
Well, if you watch it on Blu-ray, it's been fixed. So.
Oh, that's right. And I have not checked that out yet. Okay, so when we were in the theaters watching the movie, the
sword went all the way through the body. Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about Agent Coulson dying in that show, in that movie. Well, the big news out of Marvel and the whole Shield TV series is that Agent Coulson lives. So he will be in that TV series, and apparently there was a huge applause and uproar during that panel.
So we're supposed to be excited by that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I am. I really like that character. I was sad to see him die in the movie. Well, I know.
I think it was a mistake.
I
mean, I think it was a mistake for them to kill him in the movie because he's the catalyst that kind of gets them all together, right? Because he's like in all the movies, isn't he?
That's right. He's the common thread.
So it was kind of stupid for them to have whacked him off.
Well, yeah, from that viewpoint, sure, but at the same time, it was it's a great death.
But they didn't need to go and edit the movie because they said that the TV show is never going to tie into the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Well, and even if it did, there's ways around this, because then
it is a comic.
Yeah. Obviously, the comics bring characters back from the dead in various creative ways, right? They could do the same thing here, and they talked about some of the news as the Shield show was developing. Will Agent Coulson be part of it? Well, then someone talked about the Vision, bringing the Vision in. Maybe Coulson becomes the Vision, right?
Yeah.
And even during that panel where the actor, whose name I can't recall at the moment, he was there. And he even said, have you ever heard of the Vision? But he also said some other things, so he wasn't like giving us a spoiler or anything, but
right,
maybe. But there are ways around this than going back into the movie and changing that.
They edited the movie. Yeah.
They should not have done that. Anyway. So Marvel's doing that in movies and DC's doing it in the trade versions of their comics.
Yeah, crazy.
It's like, well, you know what? Just let it live like it is. We all will accept, I guess. Maybe there's some fans out there that can't accept that kind of stuff and make a big stink about it. But you know what? I don't think it's that big of a deal if they mess up like that.
Yeah.
Maybe
they could change their mind. They kill people and like that all the time in comic books and really think this person's dead. We're not going to use this character. And then somebody comes up with a great idea for using that character. And so then they figure out a way to bring them back. I mean, that's that, like it or not, that is a symbol of superhero comics.
Yes.
They could have, and in the movie, right? So of course, sorry for anybody who hasn't seen the thing, what's his face, the leader of Fury, he basically, the guy dies. He fakes the whole, oh, he had your guys' trading cards thing, right? He lies about that part of the movie, right? to get them more motivated.
Yeah.
Right? Why couldn't he have lied about the guy really dying? They could have hid his body away and then come back and say, oh, he was in critical condition, but he was never dead. We just told the Avengers he was dead to motivate them all to go out there and kick ass.
Yeah, and that's
how hard is that?
That's actually what I had expected when I was watching the movie.
They should pay me tons of money just to have figured that out for them without having to go through and edit everybody's movie.
Yeah.
You buy the movie and suddenly it's not the same movie that you watched on the big screen. I don't know.
All right. Let's move on to DC, shall we? Unless you have anything else.
It's all part of the Marvel Now thing, right?
Yeah. What isn't?
Because it's not a relaunch, it's not a reboot. It's Marvel Now.
All right. All right, DC. Let's start with Vertigo. There's a lot of news out of Vertigo that I glommed onto on Friday.
Well, good. You can tell me about it.
Oh, okay. Well, good. All right, here we go. So, Vertigo.
I know there's some books coming out, but I don't know what books they are. So.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I was surprised at how much I was really into. So,
It's gonna be expensive.
uh-huh. So you know how much. So anybody who's listened to the show for a while, you and I have talked about Scott Snyder, and my
Foolish dislike of him. Yes,
that is a very strong way to put it, Travis.
I didn't say 8.
I will say I will agree with the foolish part because Snyder has definitely redeemed himself to me with his Batman run.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, in some previous things I was a little cool, I'll say, on Scott Snyder's work. But now I'm like, okay, I'll check out some new Scott Snyder stuff. Speaking of which, so some news for American Vampire fans. Apparently Snyder and the artist they're going to take a break for a little while
Uh-huh.
on that series to get caught up on it. That's what happens when you become the hot writer at DC.
He's writing like 30 books or
yeah,
something like
that's
that.
right. Something
Holy
like that.
cows.
So they're going to take a break, and then they're going to come back, and apparently it's not going to be more than a year this break, and they're going to have some specials along the way. But when it does come back monthly, it's going to come back with stories set in the 1960s.
Oh, cool.
So I'm probably going to be picking that up when that comes back.
Yeah.
Just to see. And of course the big draw to me, okay, one, Scott Snyder now because I'm really liking what he's doing. But if it's set in the 1960s and the artist can do that era well,
Uh-huh.
I'm a sucker for 1960s set.
Yeah, that's fair.
Movies and TV series and comics too. So as long as it's done with some authenticity in the representation. So I'll be picking up American Vampire here within a year. So also Snyder and artist Sean Murphy are going to do a 12-issue horror/sci-fi series called The Wake.
Yeah. I'd heard that.
So I'd probably be picking that up as well.
Yep.
Or what comics need more of, Travis, I think, is more sci-fi.
Real sci-fi. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and horror sci-fi. I can get behind that too.
Yep.
And what a lot of what we see is what are being called horror comics that are out these days. To me they're not so much horror as violent escapades.
Yeah. Well, they're all part of the slasher.
Yeah, the blood and gore type.
Right.
Of horror, which I don't
not
consider that horror.
Not suspense. I rather have something that's creepy that I never quite figure out what the hell it is. It's always off panel or whatever. That for me, that's the horror that I want to read as opposed to, large piles of blood and guts.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Jeff Lemire will be doing, Snyder's doing a 12-issue series, but Jeff Lemire will be writing and drawing a 10-issue series called Trillium: The Last Love Story Ever Told.
I love the idea of that.
Yeah. It's a time-jumping love story. So we'll be seeing the story unfold in 2 different time periods. So I'm really curious how that's going to work out.
Yeah.
And again, like Snyder, I anybody who's listened to the show for a while knows that I'm not all that keen on Jeff Lemire's work either. But I'd definitely be willing to give this a try. Let's see here. There's Vertigo's. I think this was already talked about at San Diego, but they have the new anthology Ghosts. Do you remember that, Travis? Was that San Diego?
I don't remember when it was announced. I don't even remember hearing about it, but I ordered it when I saw it. But yeah, no, I don't remember when it was announced.
Okay. Anyway, the only thing about that I thought was interesting, it will publish Joe Kubert's last work that he did. So
yeah,
I'll be getting that, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning with issue 50, The Unwritten. I forget, Travis. Do you buy that series?
No.
Oh man.
Foolishly, I don't. Yes, I know.
Listen out. Such a good series.
That's what I'm told by a lot of people.
Yeah, but beginning with issue 50, I was a little confused by the article on this, and I read it twice, and I hope I got it. I hope I understand what they were saying. So I might be wrong about this, but because Bill Willingham kind of confused me in what he was saying. But apparently, the unwritten characters will show up in Fables, and And
Really?
that's what they said. That's what Bill Willingham said. But what I think he means is that, so because it's something in Unwritten, what I think is what happens is that the characters in Unwritten will show up in the Fable lands, because fables are just stories, not well, they're the whole idea of fables is these stories that come that are really what am I trying to say here? That are alive, right? Stories that are alive to a certain degree, right? Well, Unwritten is all about stories. So it makes a lot of sense for this kind of crossover thing to happen.
Yeah, but
so that's what I think is what they mean, is that the Unwritten characters will show up in the Fable lands and interact with the Fables characters that we know. So I'm not sure. It's supposed to be something happening in the Unwritten title, not an actual crossover between the two titles. But like I said, it was really weird in the way that it was presented. So I hope I got that right.
Yeah.
Either way, I love that title, so I'm getting it. It doesn't matter. A couple more things, Vertigo wise. Hellblazer number 300 will be a double size issue. And that's all I know about it. So, again, like I said earlier, I'm a sucker for those anniversary and big number issue things. So I'll be buying.
I had heard rumors, and I've been in high anxiety about it, that issue 300 they were going to quit the series then.
Oh, really? Because that'd be funny, ironic, because I'm going to jump onto the series at 300 then.
Yeah,
that's my plan now.
Yeah, I'll be
wrong.
If they do that, yeah.
What 300?
My world will get really ugly if that happens. But that's all I got to say.
See that, it being a big number issue and double size, maybe that is the end.
No.
And they don't want to talk about it right now.
No, that's not very many. That's not very many issues off. That's like 6 months. You'd think they'd be 5 months. You'd think they'd be talking about that if that was going to be the case.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, I bet you within 3 months we'll know for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then finally from Vertigo, just want to mention they did talk about this before. So the Sandman prequel. That they're going to do, the story before Sandman number 1.
Right.
How Dream got to that point. This was the bit that got me about this. So the Sandman prequel will give us the Endless's parents.
What?
That was exactly my response when I read that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How can Universal Ideas have parents?
Right. Well, here's the thing. This is the funny thing, as you say that. I'm rereading all of the Sandman in preparation for when this comes out. So I ordered all 10 trades, of course, of the newest editions, and I'm in the middle of number 4, I think. And Sandman is having a bottle of wine with the guy who refuses to die. And that character that kind of reoccurs throughout the comic, and he wants to know why, because Sandman's coming to him at a different time than their normal every 100 years, and he's like, "Whoa, what are we celebrating? Is it your birthday?" And Sandman's response is you have to be birthed to have a birthday.
Yeah.
Basically is what he says. I mean, not in those words, but I mean, basically that's what he says is you have to be born to have. So the idea of them having parents is quite fascinating.
Well, now see, that makes sense no, wait, you read Sandman when it was coming out monthly, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know how it ends.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to spoil anything for you. So, we get the new Dream at the end of that series.
Right.
Who actually does have parents.
Oh.
In a sense, right? It's the oh gosh, those two characters from Infinity Inc.
Yeah, it's Daniel. It's Daniel.
Right. So that makes sense, but they didn't say Dream's parents. They said the Endless's parents.
Right.
So I'm like, what?
Right.
So I'm curious. It's Neil Gaiman, so not that he, everything he does is perfect, but
somebody had watched those Universal concepts in the first place, right? Somebody, when they first became aware of those things had to have been the person that. So you could have parents in a sense. It'll be curious.
Yeah.
I'm so amped to get that thing. I am
Really?
You know, oh yeah, I'm really excited about
I'm
it.
surprised.
And I was somewhat pessimist by the end of that time. By the time Sandman ended, way back, I was pretty irritated with it for stupid reasons that we don't need to get into.
Okay.
But
Now I'm
yeah,
curious.
I'm so amped about the whole the fact that he's coming back to it. I'm curious to see if he can recapture that magic in a bottle again. The person who's going to be the artist on it, J.H. Williams III.
Oh yeah.
I just this comic is going to should be gorgeous visually and gorgeously written too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it should just be a beautiful piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm yeah.
Well, I'm already planning on. Of course, we're making huge assumptions here, but I think they're pretty safe assumptions. I'm gonna get the issues, the individual issues, and I'm gonna buy. I'll buy the trade as well.
For sure.
If J.H. Williams III does what he normally does, then I see no reason why I wouldn't. So.
Well, just that for the announcement for the San Diego Comic Con, that piece of art he did for that was awesome. So I'm so on board.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to, unless you have any. No, you said you didn't.
No,
okay. So
stuff.
let's move on to just kind of general DC stuff. And let's see. I want to save one bit for the end here. Maybe you can guess what that is. But yesterday, Travis, we'll start with this one. Yesterday, there was this big outcry from fans of the DC Nation programming block. Did you hear about that?
They suddenly pulled it?
Cartoon Network pulled the DC Nation block unexpectedly from their schedule.
Why?
We don't know.
They tell us it's
right
coming
now,
back
we don't know. In January. Yeah. And apparently the producer of the Green Lantern series was none too pleased. I saw the Bleeding Cool post.
So this is definitely something that wasn't a mutual thing between DC Warner Brothers and.
Not that I can tell. It's Cartoon Network's choice for whatever reason. Now, when I first saw this yesterday, it was from a bunch of tweets from people that I follow, and people are crying conspiracy and of what I don't know exactly, but I happened to be watching TV at that time. I was catching up on Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes,
right.
and when I stopped watching one episode and I go back into the menu to watch another, well, it just happened to be on Cartoon Network, and they're doing their 20th anniversary programming. So I'm like, well, that's why they did that, right?
Sure.
They pulled it because they pulled Saturday's episodes of DC Nation off because they're doing this special 20th anniversary thing. Well, then it comes, a little bit later during the day, I still see these posts and I'm like, well, wait a minute, they actually yanked it from the schedule for the foreseeable future. And then it was again later in the day when it was Cartoon Network finally tweeted that it will be back in January. So it's like, what? That's one, it sucks. Because I think we only got what, 3 episodes in?
Or 2, yeah.
I think it was 3 because I have 2 waiting for me to watch, and I did watch the first episode of each one. But still, that's not a lot, and we have to wait till January.
Right.
That sucks. But it's like it was weird, that all this stuff coming out of New York Comic Con, and this is the one thing that a lot of fans were like, wait a minute, what are you doing here?
Sure.
And it has nothing to do with the publisher.
Yeah.
So, I saw this morning. This is basically a non-news item in my mind, but I thought it was interesting anyway. David Goyer and Jeff Johns is going to do a 13-issue quote-unquote event.
Huh.
They didn't say anything else but about it. That's just it. So
we're just supposed to be excited because they're on something together.
I guess and David Goyer did the JSA series with Jeff Johns for quite a while. before Jeff Johns took over sole writing duties on it. So, and I enjoyed that series immensely. So those two together, yeah, sure, I'd be interested to see what it is, but why even mention it if you're not going to tell us about it?
Because you need to keep rolling out news items.
I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, speaking of a non-news item, Kevin Smith has almost completed the sequel to the Batman: The Widening Gyre series that he did a while ago.
Oh boy.
Yeah, exactly. So I take it you didn't read the Widening Gyre.
No, I didn't.
First, yeah, I didn't either. I had no interest in that whatsoever. But he's doing a sequel for those that liked it. What Travis? Did you have anything from DC? I have a couple more items, but
well, I think there's two things that interest me, and interest me for I don't know, odd reasons. One, they announced who, of course, is going to take over writing Action Comics after
right.
After Grant Morrison leaves, and it's Andy Diggle.
Mm-hmm.
I like him. I liked his work on he wrote Hellblazer for quite a while, and I liked his work on that.
Yeah.
And they kind of talked about the direction that they're thinking about taking the book, exploring the relationship with, because first thing is Action Comics is now going to be run in current continuity as opposed to 5 years in the past. So it'll be relevant to what's going on in the rest of the DC universe now,
mm-hmm.
which I think is a good thing. And they're going to explore, Clark's relationship with Lois and some of the other secondary characters that are there, Superman's relationship with Lois, and how that's all going to work out when there's this, ongoing relationship with Wonder Woman going too. I think that could be really messy and really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I may jump on that book, and I don't read Superman, but that might interest me to pick it up if they're going to explore those secondary and relationships and whatnot with some of those secondary characters and stuff.
Yeah.
That could interest me, because I'm not sure. I'm not a big Superman fan, and I'm not sure how much of a story you can tell with him directly. But I think his cast of characters can be really interesting. So if we're going to tell a story in that fashion, I might be willing to pick it up, which is big news to me because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
No, and staying on the same Superman thing, and I don't know if this is the other thing you were going to talk about, the Superman comic that
yes,
Scott Snyder is going to write and Jim Lee is going to do the artwork for.
Yes.
And one of the questions this weekend has been, is this going to be ongoing? They just confirmed it is going to be an ongoing title.
Okay. But we don't know the title of it, although people are suggesting it's going to be called Man of Steel to help tie into the movie that comes out.
As long as they're not actually tying into the movie, I will pick up the first issues of that book just based on creators alone.
Oh my God, yes. That was the big thing that I was going to throw out there.
I'm deeply fascinated to see how Scott Snyder deals with this character, because Scott Snyder is, in my opinion, always works on the fringes of horror. Even his Batman he builds things up in kind of a suspense horror kind of fashion. He writes obviously the American Vampire stuff. Some of his other noted things. He wrote Severed, which was definitely a horror comic.
Right.
This Joker thing that's going forward certainly it would fall under a horror style comic and whatnot. So everything of his that I've read has had this kind of sinister, kind of a horror, for lack of any other description for it, type of a thread running through all of his stuff. And I can't imagine he's going to do that with Superman, but I don't know. So I'm definitely going to be picking that up, and I'm really fascinated by the fact that it's going to be an ongoing. That's just, to me, that's interesting. That's yet another Superman title. So that'll give him 3 titles, which of course isn't nearly as many as Batman, obviously, but still, that's interesting. And I think it's really interesting that this is a decision that DC made. Scott Snyder's hot right now. Let's get him on some of the other titles that we need hot people on. And as much as Grant Morrison is popular, I don't think he did anything for Superman. So I think moving from a business standpoint, I think moving Scott Snyder on to Superman is probably really smart. Because all those Batman lovers out there are potentially going to jump on a Superman comic like I am.
Sure.
And even though we would have had no intentions of getting a Superman comic before that.
Yeah, but I see that similar to Grant Morrison doing Action Comics, because any Grant Morrison fan, especially if you've read All Star Superman, having Grant Morrison come onto a monthly Superman title as he did for the relaunch of Action, I'm sure it was the same kind of thing, because Grant Morrison, granted he's kind of been around longer than Snyder in terms of fandom recognition, and love him or hate him,
right? There's
always a draw for him, right?
There was definitely a draw to start out with, but has he done anything for the title really though? You've been reading it, right?
I think it's one of the best titles in DC's lineup because of Morrison, because of the stories he's telling.
That's interesting, because I know people who can't stand it and are Morrison fans and don't care for it at all. So
okay.
So, but I'm just saying, I haven't read it. I haven't picked up a single issue of it and whatnot. I don't, so I'd just be curious. I think it's going to be really. I think it's smart of them to, like I said, to pull Snyder over onto that thing.
And Jim Lee too, because I know there's a lot of people out there that Jim Lee's his art hasn't evolved over time. It's still the same stuff he's been doing since the 90s, and
that's true.
I can see that, but you know what? It's beautiful art, and I like his stuff. So to see him doing Superman again, because I loved his rendition of Superman in those first 6 issues of Justice League.
Yes.
And looking at all the other artists that were rendering Superman, to me, Jim Lee does the definitive Superman right now for the New 52 stuff. So to see him on this book with Scott Snyder, I am about ready to pee my pants to read that book.
Okay, it's so Superman. Excited. I'm not that excited.
Oh, you know me, I'm a big Superman fan.
Oh, I know you are.
So to see these guys come on there, and I don't know if you read the article where Snyder and Lee are talking specifically about this. Snyder is so excited to do this, and if he brings even half the enthusiasm that he's brought to Batman, this is going to be a very successful book, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I also find it very funny too, because in the last few months, I followed Snyder on Twitter, and he's really good about answering questions from fans. Mm-hmm, and one of the things that he talked about or answered was, because someone tweeted to him, about him working on Superman in some way, and his response was always, I love Superman, but I'm fully committed to doing Batman here. So basically,
right.
I'd love to do it at some point, in the way future, but Batman is the thing I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Batman. I can't imagine doing anything other than. I'm paraphrasing here, but
right.
But that's kind of the sense I got from him. And then to hear this announcement and how excited he is to do this, it makes me excited to read that book. Like I said, with Jim Lee art, because I'm so excited. I'm getting tongue tied talking about it. So.
Yeah, I'm really, really interested in that book too. I mean, it's going to be, I love like I said, the combination of the creators that are going to be on it and stuff. I'm I've tried jumping on Superman before. Remember when Byrne started that run on
oh yeah,
what was it called then? Man of Steel, was that what it was called then?
Well, the miniseries was called Man of Steel, yeah.
Right, and then they relaunched
the Superman title.
The Superman title.
Yeah.
And I went 2 or 3 issues of that. And
really? Just 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Wow. I lasted a few years on that. I loved it.
Yeah, see, I can't get excited about Superman. That's my problem. So we'll see what happens. It may be collect a few issues of this too, just because I can't get excited about Superman. But I'm
Yeah.
excited about the people who are on it. So
Yeah.
definitely will get my money to start out with, just because I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
Curious to see how that works.
Yeah. So to me, that was, I obviously have a DC bias, but that was the big news coming out of New York Comic Con for me.
Yeah.
Out of all the stuff we've talked about, but yeah. I was really curious what you were going to say about this. So.
I just think it. I mean, So my question is going to be, who the heck is going to keep picking up the Superman title?
Well, I will, but.
So you're gonna keep getting that's got who on it? That's got Liddell,
Scott Lobdell.
right? Liddell and does it have Raycroft doing the art on that, right? He was doing the art for Red Hood, but now he's doing the art on it, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So you'll keep picking up that, even though there's just you're gonna pick up a third Superman.
Yeah, I will. I will initially, yes. Well, it depends. I can't remember when the new creative team comes on to Superman. So I imagine it'll be sooner than this new title comes out.
Oh yeah, sure.
So
because we don't know when that new title's coming out.
Right.
That could be November of next year.
Yeah. When does the new Superman film come out? Do we know that yet?
Around that time, I think.
Probably.
Isn't it a holiday film?
I'm sure that they'll do that. Yeah. So yeah, it'll come out before that, shortly before that. Anyway, so it depends. I'll whatever the new creative team is on Superman, I'll get that for a while just to see where they're going with it, and then I'll decide then. But yeah, potentially I could be getting 3 Superman titles.
Well, I guess it's the same as if you're a Batman fan, you pick up all those Batman titles too. Regardless of whether there's a Rockstar team on one and a mediocre team on another. If you're enough of a Batman fan, you pick them all up or whatever. So I guess if you're a Superman fan, that'd be the same thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right. Well, I only had a couple other minor things, but I grabbed onto those, Travis, because of you.
What's that?
The first one is the new JLA comic that Jeff Johns is doing. So the only new thing, I guess apparently it starts in February.
Right.
And the reason I grabbed on this because of you is because I believe it was Johns who said this. It may have been somebody else, but the quote is, "There's a lot of big Green Arrow stuff coming." In that comic.
Yeah. I'm going to pick it up, even though I have my druthers about all the creative team that's on it, because I haven't been excited by Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
I just haven't since the New 52. Yeah, whatever. Obviously, I'm reading the wrong titles that he's writing or something, but whatever.
You're not reading Aquaman, right?
I am not reading Aquaman.
There you go.
And I'm not reading Green Lantern. So
there you go, right there.
Yep. So so I'm not. Like I said, I'm not excited about that. I'm not excited about David Finch as a whole. I don't.
That's right.
I haven't really read a lot of his work. The work that he does. But I immediately don't like his covers when I see them, when he does the cover work for the comics I do read. So, and there's some real odd people on that team that I can't make sense of Catwoman being on that team. So I'm really curious to see how they work out that Catwoman's on a superhero team.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that, because they did mention that in that article about the JLA comic. Apparently Catwoman's going to be asking the same question in the comic. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if they do,
or whatever that means,
if they do it right, it could be interesting. It just, to me, offhand, it doesn't make any sense. But yes, I am going to pick it up in the hopes that somebody can do a decent treatment on Green Arrow, because I do have to say, the little bit that he was in the Justice League book, as he was trying to get on the Justice League, I enjoyed that issue. I thought he was fun on that, and I enjoyed that issue. But if anybody watches my reviews, I am a huge Green Arrow fan. He's my favorite DC character, but they've destroyed him so bad in this New 52 that I have a hard time saying that he's my favorite DC character.
That's too bad.
So we'll see. I think that 52 relaunch fundamentally broke that character in a way that he can't be fixed unless there's some dramatic retelling of his continuity to change the way he currently is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be picking it up initially just to see what that's how he's treated in that and what that's like. But
Okay. Also related to that, since we're talking about Green Arrow, so the Arrow TV series, which just debuted not too long ago,
yeah, last week.
Which I haven't seen yet, but you have. But I read this and immediately thought of you. So not only will you get the Green Arrow character in the show, of course, apparently Deathstroke will be stopping by.
Yep.
And Huntress.
Yep.
So did they tease that in the first episode?
I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Okay.
There's all kinds of names dropped in this first episode, and like I said, you haven't seen it yet, but when you first get the island shot and he's on the island, I can't remember exactly where it's at, but you really need to pay attention to the background and foreground because there's stuff showing that for stuff that's coming up, I'm sure.
Okay.
You see it and you go, what the? It won't be quite as big a surprise for you because you know some of the information, but yeah. Let me put it this way: the TV show is way better than the current comic book is.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I would feel sorry for anybody who watches that show and decides, hey, I'm going to pick up the comic, and they don't go and pick up the Arrow comic, but they go and pick up Green Arrow. Two totally different things.
So are you reading because as I understand, they're going to do an Arrow comic.
No, I'm not reading it.
You're not going to read that?
No, I don't care for comics that are based off of TV shows or movies and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And normally I'm with you on that, but here recently there's been a few that I've been getting that I've been really enjoying. So, but I did read that because they did release that one shot of Arrow digitally for free. God, it was a while ago now.
Right.
Remember. Anyway, I got that and I wasn't all that impressed with it. But yeah.
But yeah, they've been talking about hinting at the fact that Huntress is going to be in 3 or 4 episodes. They've already got her written into. They've been casting people to play, potentially to play Kate Spencer, who.
Oh yeah.
She's in the old DC 52, she was the last version of Manhunter, and she was also the district attorney. She ended up being the district attorney for Gotham, and all this stuff. Of course, Arrow's not set in Gotham, but they're gonna put her in. So I mean, the name there alone is the potential for I don't know. Is she gonna end up being? Are they gonna end up having Manhunter in the book at some point? I mean, in the show at some point? That would be awesome, in my opinion.
Well, and they did mention in that article about this that Arrow would feature more street level characters, like Deathstroke,
right.
like Huntress,
right?
Manhunter. That makes total sense.
Yeah. Of course, in the TV show, which is somewhat like the Zero issue of the Green Arrow, his best friend is Tommy Merlin, and of course Merlin is spelled with a Y, and of course Merlin is, in prior versions of Green Arrow, Merlin is, the Black Archer, who is always competing against, Green Arrow. He's part of the League of Assassins, and
that's right.
It's always the debate on, who's the better archer, Ollie or Merlin. So be curious to see how they end up using that character too. And of course, it's got Diana Lance in it, and some of that stuff. So
wow, you're making me excited to watch this. So I need to go do that.
Yeah, you do. I mean, like I said, there's some things about it as a comic book fan you can kind of go, oh, and there's some things about it as a TV fan you can go, oh. But I don't know. As a whole, I was pretty pleased with it, and I mean, I am truly looking forward to watching the next show.
Oh wow. Wow, with that high praise, I should go watch that immediately.
Yeah. And then you'll wonder what my problem is after you watch it.
That's right. Yeah, you don't like Green Lantern or Superman, so I don't know what your problem is.
Yeah, I know. There you go.
Okay, so that's all I had for the New York Comic Con news. And while you were talking, Travis, I checked the various news sites that I've been following, and nothing new has kind of jumped out at me. So I think that's all I have. Anything else you want to throw in there about stuff coming out of New York Comic Con?
Nope. Other than it just makes me itching that much more for March to get here so I can go to Emerald City Comic Con.
Oh, and yeah, it looks like I'll be going too.
I knew you wouldn't be able to stay away.
Yeah. Well, I just found out, this last week, Terry Moore is going to be there,
Yeah.
and probably more than anybody else that I've seen so far that's been announced, whether it's a comic book creator or even a media guest. I'm probably more excited to meet Terry Moore than anything else. So.
Then meeting Jean-Luc Picard?
Yeah, well, I would not meet Sir Patrick Stewart. I would gaze upon him fondly from afar in the panel that he'll do. Because I did that the first year I went. I did the picture with Leonard Nimoy, and that was kind of cool. But I don't need to do that again.
Yeah.
Because one, it was too expensive. And
well,
two,
it sucks up so much of your time.
yeah, the time we had to stand in line and then you get posed real quick. They take a picture.
Right.
Thank you very much. Boom, you're gone. Next person comes in.
Right.
There's no time. It's not like you actually get to talk to the guy. Although I did say it was an honor to meet him, but I don't think he heard me.
Yeah.
He was very focused on watching that damn camera.
Yep.
But he was polite. He was nice. But yeah, I don't feel the need to do that anymore. But I do really want to see Patrick Stewart talk about his life with Star Trek and other things. He's just a great guy to listen to.
That new X-Men movie that's coming.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that too. And then they also announced Gillian Anderson recently. For those X-Files fans.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see listen to what she has to say about stuff. But yeah, Terry Moore. To me, that's the big draw right now to go cool. to Emerald City.
Yep.
So I'll be bringing a bunch of stuff for him to sign. Well, probably not. I don't like to deluge the the artists and writers with a bunch of stuff to sign. But God, I love his stuff. Anyway, so I guess that's it for this episode, New York Comic Con. By the time you listen to this, it will have come and gone. But thanks for listening anyway to hear our thoughts about what we think about I almost said Emerald City about New York Comic Con. Although I will say, Travis, my last thing on this, man, I wish we could go to there. I would like to go to there.
Yeah,
as they say.
It's definitely on my non-bucket list to go to that con. Mm-hmm. I don't think I truly have an interest of going to San Diego other than to say, "Ooh, I was there." But that doesn't strike me as it just seems too big and too crazy.
New York, I think New York is a lot more attainable than San Diego is these days. Because if you're not quick enough, you can't get tickets.
Yeah, it still seems like a comic convention.
Uh-huh.
That's its priority is a comic convention. And I mean, I know that parts of the industry have moved to other places. And in this digital age, you can send your work really easily to wherever it needs to go to. But New York is still the heart of the big two,
mm-hmm.
right? And so part of me kind of wants to go there just because of that also. I mean, it is their backyard. It's the backyard of where the big comic books come from. So yeah, I want to hit that con at some point. It's on my hopefully within 10 years list. So.
Yeah, I would definitely like to go to that. And there's also another one that I don't know if you're familiar with this. There's the London Super Show.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would like to go because it's in London.
Yeah.
But yeah, the New York Comic Con would be probably the big one in the U.S. that I would like to hit.
Yeah.
Well, there's that and Dragon Con. I'd like to go to that one, but anyway. I can only afford one, and so
I haven't
I choose
checked my
the I
lottery.
choose the one
Yeah,
that's closest.
I haven't checked my lottery ticket numbers yet from last night. Who knows? Maybe I can afford to go
Oh,
now.
oh. Well, if you win a big lottery, Travis,
You
you
trying
have
to say I have friends?
you
Yeah.
you
Okay.
have you have one longtime friend that would love to accompany you to.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
All right. I think we've droned on long enough about
Yep.
our bucket list of cons. So with that, thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to leave comments about the episode on the Longbox Review website, longboxreview.wordpress.com, or contact me via Twitter. And Travis, or everyone, be sure to visit Travis's YouTube site, Oddfellows Thoughts, for some interesting. Travis has been doing some Halloween themed stuff, which is just funny as hell. So
Okay.
people should check it out. uh, Anything else, Travis, before we get out of
Nope.
here?
Nope.
All right.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, we and I apologize about that. I've been meaning to bring you on sooner than this, just scheduling and
Right. Life is
whatever
busy.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But glad you're back, and we will be talking soon. We'll probably talk about this Arrow series here pretty soon,
Cool.
along with our buddy Greg. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
All right, that's it. Thanks everybody. Bye.